What's going on, guys? So we're back working on my off-road drag mini bike. If you saw in the last video, got this thing completely tore down, started building the cardboard template there for the bottom. Also made one for the top, but got that one already cut out and all finished up. Got the new V-treads all mounted up. Everything's looking good. This thing is looking pretty dang sweet, coming together pretty quick. I was still waiting on some metal for this plate here, but I got that just sitting in my truck so I can get that all chopped out. And then I was also waiting for some fenders. Those came in today, so not too bad for 30 or 40 bucks. Only thing is I wish they were just a hair bit wider, because as you can tell, see, like, this is lined up to the edge of that tire. Got about a ½ inch still poking out there. And I also was hoping that they would have a little bit bigger diameter and not kind of float and have a gap there. So I'm gonna try to spread that one out. So I was actually messing with the other one I had. Was able to widen it up pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell, but I kind of just took some pliers and bent the edges and kind of hammered around it. Stacking on top of this one. Lined up on the edge there. Got it about a ½ inch to 3/4 inch wider. So I'm pretty stoked on that. And I was able to actually shrink down the kind of curvature of it. So just a hair bit wider, and it fits the tire really good. Got this one all mocked up for the back. Show you guys what she's looking like. So that's about how she's gonna sit on there. Got that looking pretty good, covering the tire completely so nothing's coming up flying around the sides of the fender. Got this tab all cut out, just ready to weld up onto the bar there. Well, that works, but weld up to the bar here, and then once that raises up, she'll give me about an inch of clearance in between the tire and the fender, so hopefully nothing will get caught in there. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this fender here, widen it out a little bit, and I can start getting it mounted up onto the front forks here. Luckily, I already had some tabs already welded up onto the forks. They were just aimed 90 degrees up, so took some pliers, bent them down, got them pretty leveled out. So I should be able to fit the fender right in here. Kind of drill some holes right in the center of these, cut the end so it looks a little bit cleaner. And it should fit up there pretty good. So I think I'm gonna start working on that, maybe get that tab welded in for the rear fender so I can actually see how this thing's looking with the fenders on there. So I've been working away on this thing, got the front and rear fender all bolted up where they're gonna be permanently. Everything's looking pretty good, everything's matching pretty well too. I'm stoked on that. Got the tab all welded up in the bar there. Got the nut and bolt going right through it. I might need to shave down the bolt a little bit because it's got about a ½ inch gap in between the tire and the fender. It's not touching, but it's close, so give me a little better peace of mind on that. So I have all the clearance. So that'll fix that problem in the back. The front's looking super good. I just ended up using one of the holes that was back here already, drilled it out so I can run the bigger nut and bolt through it. Got about an inch, maybe an inch and a half of clearance in between the tire and the nut there. Got about an inch of clearance on the fender here. And this thing's super sturdy, so probably just gonna trim this out a little bit, round off that corner so everything looks clean. Widen out this front fender too, so matches the rear. I ain't gonna have any tire poking out the side there. So this thing is looking super good. Got the bottom plate all pulled off, the kind of template for the bottom metal plate I want to build. I'm gonna put this on some metal, trace it all out so I can get it cut out. Start test fitting it on here. I think I'm gonna mount it by just drilling a hole every 4 to 6 inches. So then I can just zip tie it to the frame here. I'll go in all the way up, make it super easy to pop on and off, especially when you gotta pull the motor or adjust any chain tension with the motor mount bolts. Super easy to get to because it's kind of a pain with that plate on there. You only got about maybe an inch, probably can't get a wrench in there. So I think I'm gonna start working on that because once that's on there, I can at least get a better idea of what I'm looking at. I can start sanding down some of the paint, getting some of this rust off of here, get it ready for a nice black paint job. I did save paint the rims for after the tires were mounted because I knew I would scratch the hell out of them trying to mount these new tires on there. So I just waited. Make it easy, just tape off the tire, sand down the rim a little bit, give it a nice silver paint job. So I'm gonna start working on this panel here, getting that all cut out, start bending it around the bars here, just kind of give it that nice rounded edge. And it should look pretty good. Everything's gonna match pretty well. So I got the bike flipped over, I got the bottom plate all cut out of a piece of metal. Got it zip tied on, kind of going throughout. I think I got like 9 zip ties on it, just drilled a few holes, got it mounted on there. And I noticed when I was mounting it, it was pretty flimsy. So here's the piece I cut it out of. So it was sounding like that and wasn't pretty strong. Like it was there, but it wasn't really rigid. So I just spent some time with a hammer with a ball peen end and just going around and bending it to shape of the bars. And it looks super good. I'm really liking it. I really wish I had like a die so I can actually go from the back and smooth it all out. But it's super rigid now. It's not gonna, hopefully not be vibrating, making a ton of noise when I'm driving around. And it's super strong now, so don't have to worry about that going anywhere. So now that I got that all finished up, got that mocked up, it's looking super good. I can pull everything back off, get it completely stripped, start welding in some of these holes, like where the screw is, pull that screw out, weld in that hole. I do want to go over some of these welds because when this kid stretched it, I'm not sure. I don't think he was the best welder, but mine, I'm not saying I'm a welder, but mine look a little bit better than that. So I'm gonna go around, probably grind down some of these and weld up some holes just to clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit stronger, and then get her all painted up and should be ready to get put back together. So I got the frame all stripped back down, got everything all laid out. I'm not really sure if I want to paint the panels yet or just leave them like the galvanized look, and the fenders as well. I'm not sure if the chrome's maybe a little too flashy for the style I'm kind of going with this bike, just kind of keeping it simple and clean. And it's raining right now, so I was going to start welding on this, so I really can't weld in the garage because I'm going to end up gassing this place out, and if I open the garage I might have a bunch of rain coming in. So I'm going to end up working on that tomorrow. So in the meantime, I just started sanding up the rims, got them all sanded out, everything's looking good. I ended up just wire wheeling the faces here for the sprocket and the brake disc, so that's got a smooth surface to sit on, so those are good to go. I just need to pick up some tape so I can tape off the tires, get those painted up. So tomorrow I'm going to start working on those and get everything all finalized, and then I can start getting the frame ready for paint. What's going on, guys? So it's the next day now. Ran out, got me some blue painter's tape, got the wheels all taped up, so everything's looking pretty good. Shouldn't have any overspray on any of the tires or bearings there, so those all ready for paint. And when it was raining yesterday, spent some time just getting the whole bike sanded down. Everything's looking prety good, so now I can start welding it, get all those grounded down, and the bike should be completely ready for paint at this point. It is still pretty filthy, so as you can tell, it is dirty. So I do need to still give it a good wash before I end up actually laying some paint on this thing. But I'm not really making this thing completely a show bike. I just want it to look pretty presentable, so if anyone sees it, it at least looks pretty decent. So don't mind if it has a little bit of surface rust here and there. It's no big deal. This thing's gonna get beat up anyways. So I think in the meantime, I'm gonna start laying some paint on that. And I also ended up sanding down the sprocket. Got it hanging up over here. I think I'm gonna end up painting that silver as well, just so it matches the wheels, kind of matches the two-tone look with the black frame and silver everything else. And it should look pretty good. And then I can start getting the welding all done on this frame. Should be good for paint. So I got the rims all painted up. Silver came out super good. I'm gonna let that tip sit on there for a little bit just so everything dries up, everything will look good. I also got the sprocket all painted up. Got it hanging up here. I'm really happy with how this paint came out because it really matches the top and bottom panel. You can kind of see there. So I'm curious on painting up the fenders just so it kind of all matches, because I think the chrome might be a little too flashy for what I'm doing with this bike. Since it's just gonna be black and silver, chrome fenders might kind of throw it off. But I've been working away on this thing, been welding and grinding for the last 2 or 3 hours. Got all the welds cleaned up, grinded down, so everything's nice and smooth. Everything's ready for paint. Gave it a good wash, so that'll be all right. Just gotta tape up these bearings here, and I think I'm gonna take some tie wire, tie it up to those couple holes there, and then hang it from my engine hoist in the backyard. Throw a tarp down so I can just hit it all in one go with a couple cans of paint, so everything will be nice and smooth. And I think I'm gonna start working on that tomorrow, so I have a little bit more daylight, and then it'll actually give this thing some time to dry. So I'll get back with you guys tomorrow when I start painting this thing. So I got my paint area all set up here in the backyard. Got the forks hanging out. I think I'm gonna paint those up real quick so I can have those hanging in the shed so they can dry up. Also got the frame flipped over here. I think I'm gonna give the whole bottom of the frame a good coat of paint, because I know it's gonna be kind of a pain to kind of spray up from the bottom from a foot off the ground when it's hanging on the engine hoist. And it's also pretty windy today, so that's also gonna be fighting me. So we'll see how this paint job comes out. So I'm gonna get to work laying some paint on this thing. So as you guys just saw, got some paint laid down the frame and the front forks here. Let them sit in here in the garage for 24 hours, so everything's all dried up now. Put about 2 to 3 coats on both pieces, and they came out super good. You can see the reflection right in the side there. Got a couple little runs here and there, but no biggie because this thing's gonna get beat up anyways. Got the front tires untaped while that was drying up yesterday, so that worked out. So now everything should be pretty much painted up and ready to get bolted up on the bike and be ready to take this thing for a rip. So I'm gonna get working on putting this thing back together.